On the news, Cross River State Assembly says Albert Ayambem remains Speaker, debunks reports of impeachment. Organized Labour rejects federal government's fresh 54,000 naira wage offer as talks continue. And Senate to convene National Summit to find solutions to farmer-herder clashes. Thank you for joining us on News Now. I'm Simisola Adigun. Well, despite the impeachment moves made by 17 lawmakers of the Cross River House of Assembly and the forceful snatching of the mace, which stands as a symbol of legislative authority, Albert Ayambem has insisted that he remains the Speaker. In a statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary to the Speaker, Matthew Okache, Ayambem described the development in the House as a ridiculous charade with no constitutional basis, saying that the Assembly is not aware of any impeachment. The statement was released after a fight ensued on the floor of the House after the lawmaker representing Calabar South 1, Ekarika Effiong, moved a motion for the removal of the Speaker, which was seconded by Charles Omang. Well, earlier I spoke to a journalist in Cross River State, Godwin Otang, who gave us an update of the current situation.
Okay, basically what happened today was that the House actually converged to sit earlier in the day today, and there was a motion of urgent public importance that was moved by one of the members, precisely the member representing Calabar South 1 State Constituency, Honorable Effiong Ekarika. And the motion was actually moved for the impeachment of the Speaker, and immediately was seconded by the member representing Bekwara State Constituency, Honorable Effiong Honorable Charles. So that motion was actually seconded, and immediately, of course, sometimes when sudden impeachments like that come on board, they are usually a little bit of struggle. So somebody attempted to, I don't know who he is, actually attempted to make away with the mace, and he was intercepted by a member in the House, and eventually 17 members signed the notice of impeachment that was later issued to the press, I think a few minutes later here in Calabar, and affirming their resolve to impeach the present Speaker or the incumbent Speaker of the House of Assembly. That's what really happened today. I must say there is tension around the area because as we speak, as at the time, as when I left there, some police security personnel have actually taken charge of the environment to maintain law and order.
Organized Labour has rejected the fresh minimum wage proposal made by the federal government as the tripartite committee on the new minimum wage returned to the negotiation table after the labour unions pulled out of the negotiations last week. At the reconvened meeting this week, the federal government made a fresh proposal to pay 54,000 naira as against the initial 48,000 naira earlier proposed during the last sitting, which Organized Labour described as a far cry from the 615,000 naira proposed by both the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC). President of the NLC, Joe Ajaero, described the proposed amount as unsubstantial. On Tuesday, the NLC and the TUC had given the federal government up till May 31 to conclude negotiations for a new minimum wage. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has reassured Nigerians that President Bola Tinubu-led federal government shall remain focused and committed to the implementation of the Renewed Hope agenda for positive impact on the socio-economic life of Nigerians. The SGF, who said this in Abuja during a world press briefing heralding the one-year anniversary of President Tinubu's administration, said Nigeria had witnessed significant strides in various sectors. According to him, despite the daunting challenges from all angles, President Tinubu has demonstrated exemplary leadership qualities guiding the negotiation with vision and of foresight. In his remarks, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says the anniversary celebration would be low-key in line with Tinubu's policy of prudent management of resources.
I make bold to say that Nigeria under the present leadership has witnessed significant policy strides in various sectors, including but not limited to the presidential assent to the 2023 electricity bill, a move that dismantled monopolistic control over electricity generation, transmission, and distribution at the national and granted authority to state governments, corporations, and individuals to generate, distribute, and transmit electricity, thus decentralizing the power sector. Assent to the Nigeria Data Protection Bill 2023 that established a legal framework for safeguarding personal information and promoting data protection practices in Nigeria, and the challenging but very necessary removal of fuel subsidy, a long-standing policy notorious for fostering.
Consistent again with the general principle and the policy of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the anniversary, that the one-year anniversary holding is going to be one that is low-keyed, and that is why emphasis is going to be placed only on sectoral briefings. There will be no ceremonies heralding the 1 year in office of the president. We're going to have sectoral briefings by the various ministers, and this is consistent with the policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to improve efficiency and ensure that government expenditure is also kept for the good of the people.
The Senate at Tuesday's plenary has resolved to convene a national security summit in a bid to find lasting solutions to the nation's pressing security challenges. This was part of resolutions reached while deliberating on the killing of citizens by alleged herdsmen in some parts of Kogi State. TV360's Folashade Olusegun fast report from Abuja.
The summit is expected to provide a platform for heads of security agencies, governors and traditional rulers, socio-cultural groups, alongside civil society organizations to deliberate and seek solutions to escalating insecurities across the country. The resolution is called to a motion sponsored by Senator Issa Jibrin of the All Progressive Congress representing Kogi East. Presenting his motion, Jibrin says the recent clash between farmers and headers of Amala local government of Kogi State resulted in the deaths of over 500 persons, while properties worth millions of nairas were destroyed.
Further alarmed that the attacks on these communities in Amala local government area have resulted in the killing of over 500 citizens, in addition to wanton destruction of public and private properties worth hundreds of millions of naira. Concerned that after much persuasion, the displaced persons have resolved to return to their ancestral homes, but cannot afford shelters and have no means of sustenance.
Contributing to the debate, other senators lamented that continuous killing and the absence of action from the government has increased underdevelopment in the state.
It's only here that we can stay and every morning headers will invade a community, kill 30 persons, touch the houses, burn their properties, displace them, and we have no solution to it. Nigeria should be planning on how to put an end to this scourge of headers displacing people in their ancestral homes.
I submit, sir, that we set up an ad hoc committee, invite public hearing, let it be well publicized, let everybody come there and share with us what they know, enrich our limited knowledge of what is going on across the country, and let us find once and for all, a lasting, sustainable solution so that this country can be what it used to be, and our farmers can go to work, herders can do their business. What is good for herders is not bad for farmers.
While we deal with those who kill our people, we must be looking at the possibility, the necessity, and imperative of making government, the federal government particularly, to see how to resuscitate the lives and livelihood of those who are willing to remain within the boundaries of the law.
Ruling on the motion, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says the upper chamber has resolved to establish an ad hoc committee comprising one senator from each geopolitical zone to look into the causes and profile solutions.
An ad hoc committee to look at the issue of farmers, herders, clashes holistically, with a view to convoking a national summit to discuss the issues and take decisions therefrom. To guide the Senate in establishing the necessary legislation that will bring an end to these clashes and killings.
The senator who supported the call for a national summit further urged the federal government to be sensitive in funding the security agencies.
The Lagos State government says the construction of the state's domestic violence survivors shelter is underway at Agidingbi in Ikeja. Commissioner for Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, WAPA, Cecilia Dada, who disclosed this at the ongoing ministerial press briefing, says the building, which is at 70% completion, will provide a safe and secure refuge for 100 female survivors of domestic violence in the state for a period of 3 months. Dada says that the shelter, when completed, will offer temporary housing, psychosocial support, counseling service, legal assistance and resources to help survivors rebuild their lives free from abuse.
The group of women that are more vulnerable to domestic violence are women that are not empowered, women that are not self-independent, self-sustenance, women that cannot take care of themselves. Those are more in the category that are vulnerable to domestic violence. And that is why, for us in Lagos State, we say that we have zero tolerance to unemployment, zero tolerance to unempowered women, because there's a lot of things that women can do in Lagos. We invite boys. If you looked at the slides, you will see that the boys on the picture were students in uniform. And the reason for that is to catch them young, like I said during my presentation. A lot of boys see their father beat up their mother, and they grow up to think it's a normal thing. A lot of boys feel that they're superior to the girl child. Also, we have the parenting program, where we let parents know that they must nurture their children equally and not make a child feel superior to the other. So these are programs that we're doing to eradicate domestic violence in schools and within young and adolescents.
The Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, PACA, has advocated for collaboration among major stakeholders and electoral actors to ensure a holistic electoral reform in the country. Speaking during a one-day town hall meeting, the executive director of PACA, Ezenwa Nwagu, who called for regular voter education, says the town hall engagement aims at collating ideas and contributions from relevant stakeholders for improved electoral processes. Speaking further, the Senior Legislative Office aide to the Speaker, House of Representatives, Patricia Okosodo, emphasized the inclusion of women in the political terrain, as this would enable them actualize their full potential.
It's actually the political parties that we need to refer these questions to, because it is the parties that present candidates. If they present all male candidates, the voters have no choice. But if there are special, processes that does not include free form, but maybe a quota for women, for young people, for people living with disabilities, that might be helpful, rather than say how does this help women and all that. Let's have a constitution, an electoral act, INEC guidelines that has gender lens, that has inclusivity lens.
It's our duty as a commission to educate the people. Let them know their civic responsibilities. Let them know when it is time for registration, we need to educate them. When it is time for election proper, we educate them. Whatever engagement the commission has, we need to educate the public so that we keep them abreast of whatever activities we are going to run.
PACA, they are really doing a great job. I really appreciate the fact that things like this is coming out, because when you talk about electoral reform, we know that you have to involve the traditional rulers, the market women, the women leaders, youth. We also have the religion leaders and also the INEC themselves. So programs like this being put together in even local areas will really transform Nigeria. So I think this program is one of a kind, and really for us is a good one.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, CBN says OPay, MoneyPoint, others to resume onboarding new customers in months. Stay with us for details. News Now will return shortly. Welcome back. Here's a recap of our top stories. Despite impeachment moves made by 17 lawmakers of the Cross River House of Assembly and the forceful snatching of the maize, which stands as a symbol of legislative authority, Albert Ayambem has insisted he remains the Speaker. In a statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary to the Speaker, Matthew Okache, Ayambem described the development in the House as a ridiculous charade with no constitutional basis, saying the Assembly is not aware of any impeachment. We also told you that Organized Labour has rejected the fresh minimum wage proposal made by the federal government as the tripartite committee on the new minimum wage returned to the negotiation table after the labour unions pulled out of the negotiations last week. At the reconvened meeting this week, the federal government made a fresh proposal to pay 54,000 naira as against the initial 48,000 naira proposed earlier during the last sitting, which Organized Labour described as a far cry from the 615,000 naira proposed by both the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC). President of the NLC, George Aero, described the proposed amount as unsubstantial. In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're TV360 Online. For more stories in the world of business, let's join Okwayemi Owosheni, who's on standby.
Thank you, Simisala. Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria says mobile money operators, including fintech firms like Opay, PalmPay, Kuda Bank and MoneyPoint, will resume the enrollment of new customers in another couple of months. CBN Governor Laimi Cardoso disclosed this on Tuesday at the 295th Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the Apex Bank in Abuja. Cardoso said to block money laundering and illicit flows, the Apex Bank brought up remedial measures that will help the sector to tighten up on onboarding and even existing clientele base.
The fintechs have definitely not been singled out for any exceptional kind of treatment. They have not. So, and I've read a couple of things in the press more recently, and I want to assure you that that is furthest from the truth. It's furthest from the truth. On the contrary, we are very proud, and I know all of us in this room must be, of what the fintechs over the years have been able to do for the country and the positive impact that it's having, not just in the country, but worldwide, globally. So it is for us to support them and help them to strengthen what they've already been able to accomplish. So that is furthest from the truth. However, regulation is very, very critical in a sector that seems to have grown so incredibly rapidly. More recently, we had spoken about that in the past, we had cause to take a deep dive look at the whole issue of illicit flows and money laundering, particularly within the more heavily regulated banking system. And we all know some of the issues that came out with crypto and some of the messages that we put out after that, which of course gave us some cause to know that there was need for heightened surveillance, Bring out remedial measures that will help that sector to tighten up on onboarding and even existing clientele base. And I'm confident that as time goes on, and hopefully in another couple of months, I would say, all this will be something of the past, and then we will see that sector going back into what they've been known to do before, but certainly with a very, very stronger regulatory framework.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Communications Commission has begun a public inquiry aimed at reviewing regulatory instruments for telecommunications operators. The instruments include Telecommunications Network, Interconnect Regulations Guidelines for Approval to Disconnect Telecos, and Disputable Resolution. The Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, Aminu Maida, who disclosed this in Abuja, said the consultative forum is aimed at getting input from industry stakeholders as a way of ensuring inclusivity in the development of any regulatory instrument. We'll go on a short break and be back with Stock Market Report. Nigeria equities market on Wednesday recorded its first decline this week, erasing previous day's gains as investors priced in Tuesday's decision of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank, when the French Central Bank further ramped up tightening measures to check inflation as it hiked policy rate by 150 basis points to 26.25%. The market has reduced by 0.16%, with the market's capitalization at 55.52 trillion naira. Now, on the losing side, the initiate came out last and end of the price depreciation of 10%, closing at 1 naira 80 kobo per share, followed closely by Multiverse Mining and Exploration Company, which closed at 12 naira 40 kobo per share. Now, in total, 120 NGS-listed equities participated in trading, ending with 15 gainers against 23 losers. Now, at the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 271 million volumes of shares were exchanged in 7,383 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 5 billion naira. Now, compared with the previous NGX trading day, that's Tuesday, May 21st, despite the bearish trade recorded today, today's data shows about 22% improvement in volume, 6% improvement in turnover, and 2% improvement in deals. Well, for our global equities, it's a similar case as the stocks took a plunge and maintained a southward position, with the UK FTSE at 0.55%, the US Dow Jones at 0.12%, and Japan's Nikkei at 0.85%. Let's take a quick look at our foreign exchange market. Well, it's a similar case as the Naira traded at 1,446 Naira 78 kobo and 1,500 Naira on the black market, while the Great British Pound traded at 1,839 Naira 15 kobo on the official market and at 1,900 Naira on the black market. Well, for the euros, it traded at 1,570 Naira on the official market and at 1,600 Naira on the black market. Well, that's it on both business and stock market reports. Back to you, Simisala, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Okwayemi. On the foreign scene in Iran, massive crowds thronged the streets of the capital, Tehran, for the funeral procession of President Ebrahim Raisi and his entourage, who died in a helicopter crash. Mourners gathered on Wednesday in and around the University of Tehran, where Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei led the prayers. Raisi's helicopter crashed into a fog-shrouded mountainside in northwestern Iran on Sunday as he headed back to the city of Tabriz after attending a ceremony on the border of Azerbaijan. Ireland, Norway and Spain have announced they will formally recognize a Palestinian state from May 28. Both Hamas and its rival, the Palestinian Authority, have welcomed the recognition. Spain and Ireland say the decision was not against Israel nor in favor of Hamas, but rather in support of peace. However, Israel has reacted angrily, warning that the move would mean more instability in the region and recalling its ambassadors to all three countries. On sports, Nigeria's men's amputee football team, the Special Eagles, are through to the quarterfinals of the ongoing Amputee AFCON in Egypt following a comprehensive 11-0 win over Burundi in their last group game on Wednesday. Striker Michael Joel was the star performer in the win, scoring 7 times, while Turkey-based Mohamed Grima scored a hat-trick plus another goal by Ola Bohachi. The big win has sealed the top spot comfortably for the Special Eagles in Group A, thanks to a superior goal difference ahead of hosts Egypt. Still on sports, Inter Milan has been taken over by United States investment fund Oaktree after the Syria champions Chinese owners Suning missed the €336.5 million debt repayment deadline. Oaktree announced on Wednesday it has assumed ownership of Inter after Suning failed to repay a 3-year loan that expired on May 21. Suning, which acquired the club in 2016, relinquished control 3 days after Simone Inzaghi's Inter team lifted the Syria trophy. Well, that's all on news now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.